takes a while to get things going anyway, doesn't it? Okay, good evening and welcome to another Supernatural Live on a really hot Sunday night here in the UK. This evening we are joined from some from the States this evening. So Sandy has joined us this evening. Good evening to you.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Good evening to you.
Hi, how are you? I'm sorry, it's 3:30 here and I didn't put it together. I'm like,
It's all right. It's all right.
good evening.
It's all good.
How are you?
Good evening. I'm not too bad. How about yourself?
I'm very good, very good. Just getting over not feeling well, but I'm better.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're starting to feel a bit better. I think, and thank you again for joining us this evening on a very special show. We've also got James with us this evening as well. Hello, James. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm
Hi,
good, thanks.
He's going to share a few links while we get the show
Oh
going.
yeah,
Right?
I'm gonna try to share the link too. Once it's gonna go up on the Supernatural news page, right?
So thank you so much for joining. As always, before we get the show started tonight, please feel free to ask questions. Feel free to leave your comments on the comments bit underneath this video. We're live on our Facebook page at Supernatural Tours and Events, and we are live on our YouTube page at Supernatural Tours and Events right now as well. So we really are out and about this evening. And as we said, we're joined by Sandy, who tried to join us a few weeks ago, but it went wrong.
Yeah.
So first things, tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got involved in paranormal.
Your voice is going in and out a little bit. So you asked me about how I'm involved with the paranormal?
Exactly it, yes.
Okay. Let's see. Growing up, my mother was really into it, and she was like a clairvoyant, but I really didn't know what was going on until I got older. But her mother, my grandmother, she was also a clairvoyant. She had dreams of how many kids my mother was going to have. She would tell her, this one's going to be into art, this one's going to be into music. And when my mother, I never got to meet my grandmother. She had passed away. But my mother had a lot of dreams. Like she would know things would happen, like dream of something and it would happen. So that's how I kind of got into it by her.
Yeah.
And then like nothing, things would scare me as a kid, but then as my mother would talk about it more, I would get into it more. So I just started getting into it, just starting with scary movies.
Wow, no, I love scary movies.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. But the scariest that for me at that age, I mean, was The Exorcist to this day.
Oh, really?
You know, The Exorcist, yeah. But after that, it's like I was scared, but I was intrigued. So then about 4 years ago, well, I've always went on ghost hunts I brought my kids. They were like 10 and 11 because, you know, they were raised with this. So they're not like scared. They are, but they're not. And then I just started my own team like maybe 4 years ago, Twilight Passages.
Right.
So it was kind of like I was raised with it, you know?
Yeah, it's always been a part of your life as such. Which,
yes.
Yeah, much like myself and James, really. So which part of America are you in?
I am in New Jersey. I'm about 45 minutes from the Jersey Shore and 45 minutes from New York. So I'm like in the central.
Yeah. Oh,
but yeah, there's a lot of I visited a lot of places, and I actually was just researching some places to go to, like, you know, like because of the COVID, I've been bored. So I've been like visiting some haunted places outside, you know, because you can't really go inside too much. But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, you know, and it's history. It's all historical. I love history, you know.
Oh yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say was you're a believer, are you? You believe in ghosts?
Yeah, I think my first instance I had my own was I moved in with my sister when I was, I guess, 17, 18. And she bought a house where a gentleman was dying of cancer and he shot himself upstairs in the attic. And that's where I moved, upstairs in the attic. And she would tell me sometimes when she was sad or upset, she would feel like somebody embracing her, like sitting on the couch or something. But I never felt anything until one time I was really sick. So I came downstairs, you know, my room was up in the attic, but I came downstairs in my nephew's room. He was away for the weekend. And, you know, I wasn't feeling good. So I was like in and out of sleep. But I seen like an older gentleman with a lantern at the foot of my bed. But it wasn't anything scary. So maybe he was there, like as my guardian angel or something like that. That's how I felt, you know. And he kind of just dissipated. But he wasn't scary or anything like that. But that's like the first time I remember something that really stayed with me.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is a amazing experience. What would you say? I mean, you say you've been to quite a few venues over the years. Do you have a favourite haunted venue?
Oh geez. We're still filming. My favorite was the Our House restaurant. That's in Farmingdale, New Jersey. You'll see it on our YouTube page. It was built as a tavern in the 1700s, and there was a lot of gang fights, like kind of like the McCoys and Hatfields, but it was the Fagans. It was called the Fagans. So there was a lot of shootings in the tavern, a lot of violence.
Right.
There was someone got hanged in the front because he was one of the gangs, you know, those gangs, the gun gangs in the olden days.
Yeah.
So it's always had something going on. But recently, the most recent one I did was a woman that had bought the tavern over the years, a couple years before him, the owner's name is Robbie. They see her walking around like in the mirrors in the blue room. Pictures are falling off the wall upstairs. Like they renovated it. Some is new, some is like, you know, dated. I know one of the managers would it's a ballroom too, where you can have a small wedding or a sweet 16.
Nice.
And I know a lot of the workers see things, and there's a lot of like pictures of parties where there's like all these strange mists like within the party room. But a couple stories we did was the workers would put the glasses upside down, and then they would go in and get more stuff, and then they came back in like maybe 10 minutes later, and all the glasses were like right side up. So little things like that.
Oh,
Yeah, so we did a ghost hunt there. I think that was our first one. But that one was really the most interesting one because my husband, we got friendly with the owner, and every time we did a ghost hunt, we would have a viewing of it there. So they say the blue room is haunted. So my husband was leaning in the doorway of the room while we were watching it, and he, you know, somebody pulled his belt buckle to the point where he stumbled, and he turned around and nobody was there. So that really, like, for him to get creeped out, you know, that was really interesting. I wish I had it on film, but I was busy.
Well, that would be amazing if it was on film, wouldn't it?
I know.
I suppose, but the problem with it when you film it, it doesn't matter how great your evidence is on film, you always get the people to go, "Oh, that's not real," or "You've made that up."
Well, that's how he was.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and that's the best way to be, isn't it? Is sort of doubting and think, actually, was there a logical reason behind that? But do you think it's hard when you come to paranormal experiences? Do you find it generally hard when you explain it to people for them to say they believe you, or do you think that people are still a little bit like, well, you know, I'm not really sure that happened, or maybe it's your imagination? Because it's a big thing, isn't it, when you do get an experience?
Yeah, it's funny you said that because I'm in the fashion business, and anybody, you mention anything about, oh, well, you know, paranormal, there's somebody always has a story. So it's like you could be in a group and just mention it, and somebody has a story. So most of the people that I talk to have a story, you know. So whether you be in fashion or paranormal or construction, there's always someone that has a story to tell. So most of them, I think, are believers. And some, of course, you know, until it's proven, you know, they are against it. But
you're always going to get that, aren't you? You're going to get the people that believe. I think, generally speaking, I'm sure America's very much like the UK. People
yeah,
are certainly, they're becoming much more open now to the idea of ghosts. And the fact they've been recorded for thousands of years means there must be something out there that we don't understand. And that's what we now call
oh yeah, you
ghosts.
got the good ghosts over there.
Well, do
I
we?
mean,
Oh,
you
wow.
have the history. Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
good places too, but like, it's where you are is like phenomenal. You know what I mean? Like, yes.
We are
So,
good for something over here.
oh God, no. But yeah, there's always either like, just like a couple weeks ago, we visited the Devil's Tree. It was during the day.
Yeah.
It's called the Devil's Tree. It's located, oh my God, where is it now? But it's in New Jersey. It's up north in New Jersey. But it's just this tree in the middle of this. It's not even a wood. It's just kind of like a prairie. And then there's these beautiful houses around. Basking Ridge, New Jersey. That was it. So I went up there and with my friend, and there's all kinds of history about it. It's supposed to be like a portal to the unknown.
Yeah. Okay.
The history is that one of the farmers around there back in the day had killed his entire family, and then he hanged himself at the tree. There were lynch mobs there. Just a lot of history. But I didn't do a ghost hunt because it was during the day, and it's kind of like nerve-wracking because you think the police are going to come, or you know what I mean? Like, you can't rest because you're not supposed to be there, basically, you know, like,
Okay.
but nobody really bothers you. You know what I mean? We just went, but there's like supposed to be a rock. There's a rock there that's constantly hot. They say no matter what, it's always hot. And they say the snow melts right away around the tree. It's really creepy to see, but I didn't touch it. Nobody touches it. But things like, yeah, it's on my it's not on YouTube, but it's on like my Facebook page for Twilight Passages and Sandy Foley. So that was an interesting day.
I've got to ask. I was just going to ask, what has happened when people has actually touched it? Is there like stories out there or anything?
No, yeah, there are stories, but I don't know anybody that touched it personally. Like, nobody I know will touch it. I won't touch it. I mean, I sat around it. You know, we did do an EVP, but then a motorcycle guy walked up with his Harley. So I was like, see, it's hard to do anything like that when there's, you know, random people just coming around. But yeah, I've heard like somebody that touched it. Somebody had lost the baby in the family. You know, just like any kind of cursed item. There's always like a story behind it. But it is very creepy. It is like to see it. And it just seems everything's around it is dead. And it just sticks out of the bushes like it's huge. Like you could see it when you turn the corner. So that's one of the places we went a couple weeks ago. And that was very interesting. Because the places like that, it's outside, you can go. You know what I mean? Like the COVID, people just want to spend the day there or go walking. But it's history, you know. I love history.
Yeah,
I love history.
So, Sandy, I've got to ask, in for paranormal, what is your most scariest experience?
Oh, let me think.
Oh, I love that question.
Oh, actually, my daughter, she was about 15. She was involved in a show called The Ghost Chicks. It was years ago. Yeah, it was just about a group. A producer had put together some girls and a psychic, and I was always with her because she was a minor, because she was into the paranormal when she, like, 11. So she got picked. Nothing happened with the show, but we were at the Red Mill Museum in Clinton, New Jersey. It's this huge, beautiful mill, Red Mill, they call it. And it had a village around it, and she was like hysterical when they went into there's a mean blacksmith. There's a blacksmith building. And that was scary to see her because she was so scared. She felt like somebody touched her, and then they had to pull her off. I think it might even still be on YouTube. It's called the Ghost Chicks Red Mill Museum.
Okay.
But that was scary for me to see her so scared because she just was hysterical crying. She felt like somebody like touched her. But we never did a ghost hunt there, but I did a photo shoot there. That has a lot of hauntings.
Okay.
What do you guys hear from over there? Like, do you hear about the U.S. hauntings?
We do, because I think a lot of people are fans of things like the Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're very popular in the UK. But also, I think where we get a lot of movies, perhaps like the Amityville, that kind of thing in the past, that's kind of got a lot of people interested. When I was younger, I mentioned this a few times before, when I was younger, I watched a program called Sightings, which was an American paranormal program. I think it's done by Fox originally before it was Sci-Fi.
Sightings, right?
Yeah, really, really popular program. So for me, that covered a lot of stories in America. But you're right, the history in America is very different to history here. But you guys have still got some amazing haunted places that I've never been to America. So I'd love to come over and
I'd love to come there.
Oh, you should. Yeah. Well,
yes. I'm going to share this right now to my pages.
Oh yeah, there's so many places over here. James, I think you could ask. You go for it. I know you've got a question ready to go.
Yeah, well, I must admit, I always enjoy asking different questions and trying to find out each person's experience. Because, like Sandy said earlier, everyone's always got a ghost story to tell.
Yes.
I guess, really, do you actually have a favourite place that you always enjoy going back to investigate?
Oh, geez.
I know this is such a tricky question.
It would be the Our House restaurant. I go there a lot. Let me see. I wrote a couple. The Burlington Prison in Mount Holly.
Oh.
Did you ever hear that?
I love it because I do like the prison ones. They're pretty scary.
The prison ones, yes. That one I love. That's we did a ghost hunt there with the Seekers Club of the Paranormal. They're a nice group. I met a nice group of gentlemen, and we did a ghost hunt together. That's on my YouTube page. But that is just the prison itself, and then there were lynchings there in the yard. In the middle of the yard is the where you get hanged. That's still there. Yeah. A couple people were murdered there. They murdered like a couple of the I guess, what would they be? Not the police officers.
Well, the prison guards.
The prison guards. Prison guards. Yeah.
Something like that. Sounds good.
But that one, the guards were murdered. I'm trying to think. One guy was named Joel. He was the guy that was murdering a couple people over there. He was hung and lynched for stabbing a woman. So that one's very nice to go back to, because you always get something, Yeah.
And I can imagine prisons being quite atmospheric as well, aren't they? Because the kind of things that have happened there. Yeah,
there's always somebody back in the 1800s, 1700s. People weren't treated too good, No. They didn't have what we have now as far as being clean. I'm sure they died even without getting hanged, just in that cold room, So there's a couple hauntings there. And I'm trying to think. The next one we're going to be doing, the one we just did is in Freehold by me. It's the Elks Lodge. It's just a regular Elks. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Elks. It's kind of like a VFW. No. It's a lodge where people, get together. They used to be a bunch of actors. It's been around for centuries. But their building was from the 1800s, and they had a lot of people, a young child haunting there. in the basement. They've had one of the members, you know, it's kind of like where the members, you would hang out and drink with your buddies, you know, and have parties, and they would raise money. They do a lot of things for raising money with the motorcycle people. But they have like a person that was a regular there had passed away in the shuffleboard room. That was a good ghost hunt. It's called the Elks. We just released that one. And we had the, you know, we don't use like do you guys use high tech things?
Well, you know, this is a big debate on this one, because
yes,
there is a lot of equipment out there. A lot of it doesn't do what people think it does.
Yeah.
And I always think that the experience you have is the best experience to go by. And I think no matter what bit of equipment you've got, and don't get me wrong, I think that equipment is good, but I think that it doesn't matter what you have in terms of equipment, someone is always going to doubt anything you provide as evidence.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of the fancy stuff. I mean, I love the fancy stuff. Don't get me wrong. It's great. But I just use basically my camera, EVP recorder. I used to have, before these phones came around, they used to have these little tiny ones back in 2000 when they first came out, and it had a recording, but it was a high megahertz. Like you could hear the noise even as you're recording. I used to get so many EVPs on that phone. But this one's totally different now. But the very first cell phones, they caught a lot of EVPs for me. But nobody uses them now. So I can't really transfer them, you know, to anything. But yeah, I use cameras, you know, EMF detectors. I don't really have a lot of the high-tech stuff. But there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, Seekers Club of the Paranormal, they have all that stuff, and it's just amazing to use, you know?
Yeah, no, you're right. You are absolutely right. And Sal's on our live page has been in touch as well and said that she agrees. I think there isn't enough evidence for some people, no matter what you use. You're completely right. Whatever you get, whatever you show, whether it's the best evidence you've ever got, they're still not going to believe you no matter what, because that's their mindset. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody's got their own beliefs, haven't they?
Yes.
So there's nothing wrong with that. But does it mean we're always going to be stuck in a bit of a stalemate situation where we're never going to get an answer from this?
Yeah. I think, I don't know what the next level of ghost hunting will be. I mean, they might just go back to basics, you know?
Yeah.
They always get to a point where there's not more you can do, and then they start from the beginning again. But there's so much stuff out there. But I basically do the EVPs. I'm very big fan of the EVPs. You know, like I've gotten some good ones. I should have brought my samples, but I don't have it charged. But what is your favorite? Do you like the EVPs or like?
Yeah, I do, to be fair. Yeah, I like EVPs because I think that, I mean, we did a really good one a few years ago where it was me and one of our team members, and there was another three customers were with us. We were sat there together and we were doing the whole calling out thing, and we were recording as well. Now, I never heard anything. None of us heard anything.
Anything, yeah.
But one of the guys played it back, and we heard what sounded like a woman singing and then saying, "Get out." And we've got that recording still. Now, none of us heard anything at the time. And there was no way, because of where we were in a fort in Portsmouth, so there was no way that anybody could have got into the premises. There was no one there. There was absolutely no one there. And for me, I think that's, okay, there's still going to be people who go, well, how can you prove there was no one there? And noise travels more at night. Yeah, okay, it does. But I can tell you 1,000,000,000% that I do this because I love doing it, and anything I get is legitimate if I get anything at all. So I can tell you, anybody who knows me knows I've done this for a long time now, and knows that if I say I've got something, then it's got to be something I can't explain, because I will look at every plausible rational reason behind it first. So yeah, I love EVP.
You have to debunk it, you know?
Yeah, I must admit, with me personally, I will give every equipment you know, a try. I've used from night fishing goggles to, you know, for a whole lot. But I think personally,
Night vision, yes.
like you both said earlier, your best experience is your own experience. And sometimes I find with equipment, there's so many different ways that you can explain it to a reason why it's going off and everything else, even though we have had good EVPs. And there's even once I was using an EMF detector in
Yes.
like caves underneath ground, and there's no electric, no nothing, Claire, and it went off. Now, scientifically, it shouldn't have went off because there was no electric, no nothing there.
Yeah.
And the thing was, in this little cave, which was used as a jail, it was dead in the centre, which made no sense either. But personally, I would like to focus on just seeing what you can get to happen naturally and seeing if you can get someone to come forward and, of course, maybe move something. But like you said earlier, you can have all the equipment in the world, and you could have it on camera, everything else, but you always have someone there saying, "Oh, it's fake." And I think, I think the main problem is, it's like I could record something now, whether it's real or not. If it wasn't, I could put it through Photoshop, and of course, it could look like a ghost. And I think it's so easy done now, and it's created doubt in people's minds. And I must admit, for example, if I see something on YouTube, as amazing as it does look, sometimes I do think, is it or isn't it?
There's always going to be that question.
Yeah.
Oh, we hate that. Yeah. But my best EVP, I should have brought it here, but I didn't charge the phone. There's an island called Pea Patch Island. It's like in between New Jersey and Delaware. And you have to take a boat over there. It actually, once again, was a prison. And they named it Pea Patch because a boat had crashed on it, and it was a boat filled with peas or whatever. But
that makes sense.
They do have ghost hunts too. But I went over there with my friend just as a tour. You know, everybody dresses up in the era clothing, and you have to address. They only talk like in that era. Yeah. But now they have guided tours. Before, you could just walk around in the prison, and you know, they have the people showing how they used to bake and like a village prison. But we were walking down the corridors. It was me and my best friend and my daughter and her friend. And they were way, way ahead of us. And these are like, they're kind of like tunnels, but there's, you know, there's little windows. So there was light. So they were way ahead of us. The kids were like running around being kids. And I just happened to, I said, let's stop here and do an EVP. And I had the phone like right here, you know, like right next to me. And then I said, is there anybody here with us? And, you know, just the basics. And, you know, we did it. And then we walked around and I'm like, oh, let's just listen to our EVP real quick. Well, when we played it back, it sounded like the guy was standing right in my ear. Because it's after I said, is anybody here with us? Really loud, you can hear Ed Fuss, Fuss. But it creeped, it flipped. It was crazy. Like everybody that listens to it can't believe it because it's so clear. It's not like in the mist or in the white noise. It's like he was standing right next to me and was saying it in my ear. But next time I'll have to bring it in or just send it to you, you know, somehow.
Yeah.
Because it's very cool. I kept the phone. Yeah.
I love them. And I think that, yeah, you're right. I mean, that's an amazing experience. And I think that if you have an experience like that, it's something you always remember, isn't it? I mean, I've done this for a long time. I had so many experiences.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you talk to people sometimes, you can almost see them looking and thinking, what are you talking about? Well, you can't really have that experience. But there's so much we don't understand.
Yes. And it's so crystal clear. They're like, no, someone's standing there. I'm like, no, there was nobody standing there, just me and my friend. There was, because he was so like right there, like he was standing right next to the recorder. But yeah, that'll always stay on me. in my
Something
mind.
you mentioned a moment ago when we were talking about the equipment and the fact that we haven't really gone to the next level with investigating. I have to agree with that. I don't know about what it's like over in America. I've not been there, but in England, the UK, we're still hooked on ghost hunts, and we're hooked on doing Victorian experiments, seances, table tipping, glass divination, all things that the Victorians,
Love
late
it.
1800s, they were doing. We're still doing that now. So really, you're right. Yes, we've got more equipment, but from the spiritual kind of side, we haven't really seemed to advance much in the last 200 years or so.
Are you guys meaning you're doing seances?
Yeah, that's a big thing in the UK. Yeah.
Yeah. They scare me. I wouldn't mind doing it. They don't. What, you do it at the haunted vicinity that you're at?
Yeah.
That's what.
That's crazy.
That's been the case for a long time. Yeah.
We do work with psychics, but a lot of psychics. Well, the one episode we did of the Elks, we had a renowned psychic there. Her name's Angela. Angela White, and she was really like it. My phone went off. I forgot about that. We were trying to get in touch with the guy Jay that is haunting the Elks, and I had my friend Anthony across from me, looking right out. We're all sitting there during the seance, and my cell phone started calling me, and it was him, but he wasn't calling me. I'm like, Anthony, why are you calling me? It was the weirdest thing. You see it on the episode. We're all sitting there in a circle, and his phone dialed my phone during the seance. I never thought to pick it up because I'm like, but he didn't have his phone in his hand.
Yeah, it's that right there. Yeah.
It was crazy. So whoever was there.
So you still do seances, but I mean, yeah, here in the UK, and I must admit, it is mainly to do with. I mean, we've always done seances since Victorian times, really, but
I love it.
That those certain TV shows that we have here in the UK, they really emphasise doing seances. And I think that's probably the reason why most people do them now is because they've seen it on Most Haunted or whatever TV show they've watched, and they think that's the right thing to do. And you've got to be careful with these things, haven't you? You've got to really take care of them.
Yeah. A lot of people like to they don't want to do the seances. They're scared. Do you guys lead the seances?
It'd always be done by it'd always be done by me, James. One of our trained team members would always run it.
Oh, I have to see that. What was your most intriguing one? Do you remember?
Whoa, do you know what?
I have to see it.
I've seen
for one I've got to say.
James, I know you've definitely got one, James. Tell us about it.
Okay, I love this story, and I've got to say, it's one of those stories now, because I was there, I know it actually happened. And for anyone that's listening and watching, I know it does sound, way unbelievable. And it was actually me and Andrew in our home city doing a ghost hunt in one of our oldest houses called Bucking House. And we was doing a seance around this big, large table. And you imagine a big, heavy oak table that takes about 4 or 6 people to lift. So it was heavy. Half an hour into a seance, absolutely nothing. Then all of a sudden, this table just dropped down. And we was like, hang on a sec, how can a table just drop down?
I understand.
Legs gave away or something. We looked underneath the table, no, nothing. We carried on calling out. Then all of a sudden, this table lifted up again and dropped back down. And we was like, well, what's going on here? And we carried on calling out, lifted back up again, dropped back down. Now, of course, Andrew, being very skeptical, was checking underneath the table, checking no one was doing it, everything else. The strange thing is, the darkest part of the area or the room, the 2 people that were sat there kept on complaining their chairs were being pulled out. And it got to about 5 minutes, and first like, this is too much for us. We've got to come out of this. They
Yeah.
went and sat on the other side. Now, we carried on, you know, seeing what else would happen, and of course the table lifted back up, dropped back down, and I can remember personally, I was looking around, I thought, you know, what's going on? And something that did make me a bit nervous, I could see these black figures walking past, and each time they walked past my chair, the floorboards underneath my chair would go up and down. I could feel them.
Okay.
And this is where it gets very puzzling. If you remember me saying the table, you know, takes about 4 or 6 people to lift,
Mm-hmm.
the table actually floated in mid-air by about half a foot.
Okay.
And the strange
Wow.
thing is, I still remember Andrew. Andrew actually, while it was floating in mid-air, he got on the table, tried pushing it down. He got underneath the table.
Laid on it.
And literally, say if this was the table leg, Andrew's like, it's not possible.
Really?
Why is nothing there? There's just nothing there. And the strange thing is, this table stayed in mid-air for like a couple of minutes, and it just dropped down.
Mm-hmm.
And all we could hear after that was some sort of scratching noise, which didn't make any sense, and that was it. But it was one of those times, being there and experiencing it, it was amazing. But of course, it does sound far-fetched, but because me and Andrew was there and witnessed it, we know it did happen, and it wasn't faked or staged or anything like that.
What was what? Why were you there? Was there somebody? Was there a haunting there, scaring people?
Yeah, it's got a very famous case, hasn't it?
Sorry.
It has a really famous case, which was the Duke of Buckingham. George Villiers was stabbed to death in there. So a man walked in called John Felton, came from London, who was in the Navy and didn't like that he was overseen for promotions. So he walked in. It was a pub back in those days. He basically walked in, he stabbed the Duke of Buckingham and killed him.
Oh, okay. Well, it's funny you say that because the one episode of The Elks, the one lady was standing in the ballroom, and she felt even though the floor didn't drop, she felt like the floor dropped. So when you say you felt like the table dropped and lifted, she just was standing there, and she was, you know, it was her and 2 other people and a little child, and she's like, I can't explain it, but it felt like the floor just boom dropped. So it's just creepy, you know what I mean? Even though you don't see the floor dropping, you're in the middle of the floor, but it made her feel like that. So I kind of like understand.
Yeah, it's hard to explain, isn't it, when you're having it.
Yeah.
Shane's been online, who's been watching online and seen, saying that he's had a similar experience in Stratford as well with seances. So it does sound like there's certainly a lot of strange stuff that certainly does go on. James, over to you.
Yeah, I've got to ask. I know you mentioned it earlier, Sandy.
Yes.
With seances, is this not a common thing you do out in America?
Oh no, it's well known, but a lot of mediums, like to do it because physically, they know what I'm saying? It's big in America, but I don't know anybody that likes to do it because the person that usually has to lead it is a medium, and they usually feel the pain of the person that has passed. So it's a pretty scary experience for them, I suppose.
Yeah, no, you know? I find that interesting.
I know, just like the Ouija board. You know what I mean?
See, is a Ouija board popular out there?
Yes, but that's another thing. It's a scary. It all depends on the person.
See, it's strange. Over here in the UK, 99% of people will do a seance, but they won't actually use a Ouija board.
Oh, okay.
So probably over here, I reckon it's probably around about 90% of people won't touch a Ouija board or go anywhere near it.
Yeah.
But with a seance, they're much more open to it. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting point.
Yeah, I guess it all depends on your believers and your followers. Like, there's a place over here that does seances. Well, before the COVID, she has her own little store, and it's always booked out. You know what I mean? I've never been to one of hers, but then there's others that won't go near it. It all depends, you know. And Ouija boards, everybody thinks you're crazy if you want to use it.
Okay.
I made one up myself with a friend with just a piece of paper. But you know, I always worry about getting things attached. Do you guys do that? Did that ever happen?
The belief is over here. If we make it ourselves or something like that, which I've got a few that I've made myself, it's called a spirit board. And a lot of people believe over here a Ouija board is a portal from this universe to the next universe, where a spirit board, you're only communicating with the spirit's infolocation.
Yes.
So it's interesting to know like the different beliefs from like across the pond in a sense.
Yeah, I've been to a couple seances, and that one at the Elks was like, when she would talk to the person, she's like, well, I know you want to leave now. And then we would hear somebody going up the stairs.
Okay, yeah. So
but it was so, it depends on the person too, who's leading it, I think.
Yeah.
How clairvoyant she is in touch, you know?
It brings me on to another question. I find this quite fascinating, I must admit, just how things are done differently. In the UK, of course, a person will lead a seance. Normally it's a medium, but if not a experienced team leader. And of course, other members within the seance will call out. Over there, is it just the medium that calls out, or psychic, or is it everyone that takes it in turns?
Oh, you mean it? Well, the seances that I've been to, I've never seen anybody around the table. You mean like call out, mean ask questions or get possessed?
Yeah, ask questions and stuff.
Oh, yes, they do. They do.
Okay, yeah.
It all depends on the type of seance. Like, there could be a seance when they want to conjure somebody, or they just want to be read by the medium. Like, it's almost like a reading, but it's a group reading. It all depends on what's being like why are you there? If you're in a seance and everyone there wants to talk to their loved one, then she'll go around the table and she'll say, okay, I see this one standing behind you. He's bringing me a white rose. But the one that we did at the Elks, we didn't ask any questions. We just, no, we did ask questions, but she would feel the response.
Okay, yeah.
And then when the phone rang, like my phone started ringing by the guy that was sitting across the table from me, but his phone was in his bag. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was just weird, you know? And then we did the dividing rods. Do you guys use the rods?
Yes.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like them. That was crazy there too. And we were in the shuffle room where the gentleman had passed away, and they were just going insane. But yeah, I usually use the basics. I like the basics, you know?
Yeah, why not?
Because I've been doing it so long, and I always find something just with a camera and a recorder on my phone.
Yeah. I must admit, I could ask questions all night. I always find it fascinating how.
So now I want to go to a seance.
We can't do the UK and join us.
I know. Or we could have a Zoom one. I wonder if you could do a Zoom seance. Wouldn't that be
I reckon you can do most things over Zoom nowadays. I don't know. There we go. That could be our next show.
Yeah. We could have like a medium there. I wonder. I mean, they say that the spirits can be contacted through electrical, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wonder if anybody ever did like a Zoom or whatever. What is this? Supernatural Live? What is this again? The StreamYard. You know, it's the same
Yeah.
basic thing. You guys use StreamYard. Over here, Zoom is popular with
I've
us.
got
Yeah,
to
we can
say,
use Zoom. That's become that, and Microsoft Teams seems to be like the biggest thing now these days. So we've got a few people. Sales is up for the challenge of doing a online seance. This could be going somewhere here, you know.
Yeah,
But
I would
does
like
it
to
work?
be there.
I suppose if you want to get in touch with a haunted or like a ghost, I mean, ghosts can go anywhere, can't they? Really? So you can get all sorts come through, couldn't you, for doing that?
I think it would work because
Imagine if you all lived in a haunted house. How many ghosts would come through?
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
see, Rachel wants
let's
to
say
do
you
it.
guys go to a haunted house or something, you two, and of course it has to have Wi-Fi. But
That too.
we can experience what you're experiencing. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I think we're going to have to give it a
We
go.
get that would be something good. If we get a bunch of mediums and compare, and let's say she's seeing this, and then you're seeing this, that would be pretty wild.
Yeah.
And we can
Right.
light candles.
Yeah.
And put
Yeah, you should get ghosts from all around the world, wouldn't you? American ghosts, British ghosts.
Yeah.
What a mix.
You imagine if we
You
could
never know
find,
what you never know what could happen.
you imagine
Because
if we
it
could
records,
both-
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, imagine if we could both find somewhere here in the UK that's got American connections, and somewhere over in America and that's got British connections. I wonder. I'm just throwing thoughts out there.
You would have to find a place first. No,
We
yeah,
were
we
thinking
have to
about
figure
this,
it
man.
out. Like
Yeah.
you could do the British one and see what happens there. And then I could find like an American place and see if you guys experience anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I can find a medium, but are you guys mediums or do you use mediums or you just
Like
experience?
James, you do mediumship, don't you?
Yes, I do mediumship, and I have worked as a medium on the ghost hunts and several different places as well. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't use a medium, you don't have to.
No,
You know.
normally in our team I'm the actual medium. So yeah.
Oh,
So-
okay. You went out there for a minute. Sometimes the voice. Oh, well then
That's it,
that's even better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of like my mother. I have dreams, but I'm not really clairvoyant or nothing like that. You know, I don't claim to be. But
I've got
once in a
something-
while, the dreams are big with me.
With
I have
dreams, isn't this where you dream of something and it comes true, or is this dreaming of people like that's passed over?
Well, they say when you do see a loved one in your dreams, that's them visiting you. I have very vivid dreams, like my mother, that I'll remember colors and who was said. But there was a time where I would dream of something or a person, even something small, like a person I haven't seen in 10 years. And then all of a sudden I'll dream of the person, and the next day that person calls me.
Oh, I've had that. It's really weird. Very weird.
Or the name, somebody says the person's name. I'm like, what is the chances of that happening? You know, it's just, but my mother dreamt of, she like knew who was going to have how many kids, and she dreamt of tragedies.
Yeah,
you know. But I haven't dreamt of like tragedies or anything like that. Thank goodness.
Yeah, I was going to say, thank goodness. Yeah. Sandy, we're going to ask you about your books as well. James tells me that you write books, and how's that?
Oh, yes. So I worked in fashion for about 10 years now.
Yeah.
I create masks and headpieces, and I would make masks and headpieces for New York City designers, Los Angeles designers.
Wow.
And I would be into the paranormal. And this is how I started, because everywhere I went, I would learn, people would tell me stories. They're like, oh, you know, you have a ghost hunting. And so I kind of put everything together in a magazine. Because everybody that I met in fashion had a story to tell. So what we do, it's called Fashion Haunts Magazine.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yes. Yeah. And we actually we go to haunted places. We take photos with models or historical. Not everything is haunted, but it's based around haunting. It's like, it's not like that zombie, bloody, gory stuff. It's more like a haunting look. So we shoot in haunted places, historical places, and then we tell the story of where we are. Like, we just shot at, we're going to be shooting at like a haunted area in New Jersey. And then we're going to have stories about what makes this place haunted. You know what I mean? So it's fashion, art, music, and culture with a haunting touch.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a free publication. It's online, fashionhaunts.com. And then, we have sponsors and advertisers so we can be in print,
Wow.
Yeah, so it kind of it's kind of fashion and paranormal mixed, because I was in fashion, I would always hear stories and everybody's always intrigued by haunted places,
Wow.
And
Yes,
then
so make sure you look that up.
yeah, it's different. I mean, I'm not like Vogue or anything. It's like a local, we're in Paris now, New York, LA, Japan. Yeah, so
That's good.
yes, slow movement, slow is better. Plus I didn't even do a last issue for April because of the COVID, but we're doing this issue now. It should be launching in July, hopefully. But
hopefully things get better by then. But we don't know, do we? But yeah, certainly if you're watching online, make sure you do go and check the website and your like page as well over on Facebook.
My pages?
Yeah, it's on there, isn't it, as well on Facebook, your Fashion
Yes,
Haunts.
Fashion Haunts magazine on Facebook. I'm Sandy Foley. I also wrote a children's book.
Oh wow!
I know, I keep busy. I can't just sit. It's called it's called The Haunting Adventures of Boo. It's about a little ghost, of course. The first one is about how she celebrates all the holidays. It's not on Amazon yet, but it's on eBay. But yeah, Haunting Adventures of Boo, Fashion Haunts magazine, and Twilight Passages, our ghost team, which I'm ready to go back, but I'm waiting on COVID.
I know. It's the right thing to do, isn't it? The whole lockdown, keeping safe, but it's so hard when you're so passionate about something and you can't do it. You're like, come on!
I know.
Hopefully, we've got our Zoom sales in the works now, so that's one positive step.
It'd be amazing.
Yeah. So
that would be great. Yeah. So what do you guys do? Like, see if you could set it up, and I'll see if
Oh, I'm up for it.
Who else do you interview? Like, what? I'm sure you know media.
Well, we've got Shane. Shane
is people that you know everybody.
He's one of our guys. He's a great guy. We're missing him, by the way. He's a great guy. He'll get him. We've got a few people out with James we could ask.
Yeah.
I think it would be a hit. I think it's a great idea. I think it would be interesting, and you just don't. We could all have our EVP players going. That would be pretty wild. Yeah.
Gives me a lot of ideas, I must admit.
Brainstorming. It's psychic brainstorming, paranormal brainstorming.
Over the pond and everything. It's fantastic.
So we get together.
Yeah, we've got to do this. Before we finish tonight, again, just give us a reminder of how people can get in touch with you, how they can find out more about you. Facebook, website, anything else you do?
My personal Facebook page is Sandy Foley. My default page is a white mask, a girl with a white mask. I'm all on the social platforms. Fashionhaunts.com. That's the magazine. Fashion Haunts magazine. Facebook. Sandy Foley. Facebook. Twitter. At Fashion Haunts magazine on Instagram. And Twilight Passages. That's my ghost hunting group. There's me, Sabrina Olivia. She's a newbie. We're just training her, but you know, we had to stop everything because of the COVID. Jason Nappy is my tech. Maybe he'll come to the seance if we get. He's clairvoyant too. He's got a little something because every time we go ghost hunting, something happens to him. Like he must have that, like you do, James. Something he always sees something. Even in, you know, he's interesting to talk to. So it's me, Sabrina Olivia. Barbara Lynch is my friend for a long time. She is more like our researcher, but she also feels something like a little bit, you know, when you get that feeling like somebody's there, she kind of like senses that stuff. So that's our team right now, but it's always changing. We work with Seekers Club of the Paranormal. They're really good. You know, maybe you can hit them up and interview them. Anthony Simonelli, they're hardcore.
Yes, I spoke to him actually. I spoke to him on Facebook a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, he's hardcore. Like they're more into it because I have the magazine going, the book. You know what I mean? Like, but they're like dedicated, really, really good. But they're very friendly, really great guys, and they're a lot of fun to do God's hunt. I'm sure they would love to come to the seance too.
We've got to do it. We've got a few people. We've got obviously me, James, you, Janice, Martin, Shane, some of our guys as well who I'm sure would love to do it. We've got to do it. We've got to make this happen. We've got to make this happen. It'll be great.
Awesome. I'm picturing it already.
Please give us results.
We can have wine on the side, you know.
Oh wow, in that case I'm definitely coming.
Oh, you have your wine. I have my little Fashion Hunts cup.
Look at that.
My daughter made that for Mother's Day. She knows what I like.
James, we haven't got any of those. What's going on?
Yes, that's great.
I've got a Game of Thrones glass, but that's about it. Yeah.
But no, this is great. I want to thank you for having me on. It was awesome.
Oh no, thank you, especially thank you for coming and being a part of the show. It's giving us some good ideas as well, and it's always good to reach out to people in America and around the world, in fact, and find out about the stuff they're doing. Before we do go, we set ourselves a mission after this, which is I'm quite excited about it. I think this could really do something. Before we do go, I just want to say yes, a big thank you to Sandy for being with us this evening. This afternoon, of course, in America. Really appreciate you coming along and being a part of the show. It was absolutely fascinating and brilliant to talk to you. So thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. And even Rachel has said fab interview on our live page. So
thank you.
Nice to hear good comments. Whatever you're doing, guys, please make sure you stay safe. Social distance in the UK, 2 meters apart is the law.
Yes.
And it's definitely 6 people from tomorrow, not 26, just to confirm. I've been down the seafront. I've seen you naughty people. And just stay safe. We've got to do what we can do to stay safe. James, I'll head over to you to round things off.
Yes, just to say a big thank you to everyone for joining us. And Sandy, it's been amazing. You gave me 101 different ideas.
Yeah.
I'm going to be thinking tonight.
You got to keep thinking.
I look forward to the seance. You know, that's going to be my mindset tonight. So
I'm excited. I can't wait.
Yes, thank you everyone for watching, and please do stay safe.
You too, guys. Definitely.
Yes, have a good one. Stay safe. Thank you so much, everybody.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. See you later.
All right.